What's up, church fam?
No, I'm kidding. So this is the Allen and Heath ME-1, or ME-1 is what I like to call it. It's a personal mixer that we use here at church, and I kind of want to give you a rundown of what all of these buttons mean because they are elusive and sometimes scary if you don't know what you're doing. So we're going to start here at the top left. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see it. This says local mic. All that means, I keep it turned down all the time, but all that means is that this little thing right here, that's the local mic. What it does, I don't really know. Don't ask me that one. That's the one thing I don't know. So right below it is shift. That will activate the secondary functions right here. You have store preset, menu, standby. Okay, so when you press shift, if you want to press shift and store recall, all that means is that all of these settings, hold on, stop. All these settings that you have here, the levels, all of that good stuff that you have assigned to all of these different channels, it will store somewhere that is not taken by another person. So everybody has their own personal mix. And so if you would like to store it, you just, you press it twice and that will store whatever you have there. You can also rename it and edit. You go here, you scroll with this guy, and, I can name it. I'm going to name it A2 because that'll be like my second stored preset. Press again. Oh, just kidding. Press master to kind of go back. It's exit menu, but it goes back just one, not like the entire menu. Press it again. It's stored. Right. So that's what you're going to want to do after you have finished setting levels for all of the different instruments, all the different vocals. You're going to want to store your preset. Now, when you get back up here and you decide, hey, I want to recall that preset that I was on, you're going to go to just the button recall. You're going to have to hold it down, find where you stored it. It says press again to recall. You press that button again. What the heck? I think that did it. I don't know. Sometimes this thing is confusing, to be honest. But supposedly you press it twice and it'll recall everything. Anyways, so you had that. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you want to change any of these things, right, you cannot just click a channel and be like, oh, I want to change the keys. You can't press any of these buttons except for shift and menu. That will take you to this little setup right here. The one that I know specifically about that's going to change all of these things is key setup. You're going to use this little knob to toggle between all the settings. Whenever you find one that you want, you press down. Okay, and that activates it. So it says press a key. What it means is select one of these channels, whichever one that you want to change. Let's go for one that is just one thing. It's not a group. It's just one source. So let's say I don't want front of house anymore. I want to change it to something else. Let's say I want to change it to floor 2, which that's part of the drum channel. That's all you've done. All you do is hit master, which is the exit. And there it is, floor 2. Now, I want to change it back because that's not where I want that. I'm going to go back to front of house. And you got to scroll through all of these too, which is always a really fun process. And there it is. So you see how I click that? Click it. Then you just press master. And it's back there again. Now, whenever you add something like that, it will always start with the volume at 0. So you want to make sure that you adjust the level where you want it and that you're paying specific attention to what you're adding and what you're not. That way you're not, live or you're in practice and you're like, I don't know why I can't hear it. I added it to my mix. It's because you didn't turn it up. That's a big deal. Now, let's talk about panning. So you see right here it says level/pan. And it says push right here. So you push down. You don't let it go. And you scroll back and forth, whichever way you want to pan it. Whenever you're done panning it, you lift up. Now, when you just, turn the knob, that's going to adjust the volume. But when you push, and you can adjust it the way you want to, that's panning. To be honest, apparently that's what that does. It mutes everything. I didn't know that. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I know, okay? That's all it is. Now, let's talk about groups, right? So we have here this keys group. This fader is going to adjust the volume of everything in the group. So I have keys left, keys right. You see it's pan to the left. Well, actually, okay, hold on. Let's talk about this first. to select whichever one in the group that you're wanting to adjust, you're just going to push down. Then, let's say I want to pan it, I'm going to push and hold and twirl. Push, hold, and twirl. That sounds beautiful. To deselect it, same thing, just push down. I want to go down here to keys right. Let's say I want to pan it to the left. I don't know why you would want to do that, but we're going to pan it to the right. Let's say I wanted to turn it down. You select it, turn it down. But I have everything in the keys channels the same level because I want it the same level in my ears. You get the point. Now drums, this one will be a tricky one. If you're very specific about what your drums sound like in your ears, you're going to want to adjust all of these volumes to your liking. Okay, I love having drums in my ears. I love a good bass sound. I have a 4-driver. I can't remember what they're called. They're all clear ears, but it's specifically catered to low end. A lot of people get 8 drivers. That's fine. I have a pair of 8 drivers myself when I play keys. That way I get a lot of rich mids, which is a lot of what the keys is. But whenever I'm playing drums, whenever I'm playing bass, the 4 drivers are what I have in, and they're very great with some low end kick to it. So I'm very specific about how my drums sound. I don't have a lot of guidance on like how specifically I like for all of my drums to sound, to be honest. Like obviously the right and left, you want to pan right and left if you're having 2 channels for one thing, but like just adjust it to your liking. And then once you do, you can go back out from the group. You hit the same button that the group is in. If you hit a different button, it'll go to that button. But you can also hit group to kind of go out of that whole group. You can adjust the volume however you like it. But all of the panning will happen within the group. And remember, to select it, you press down. So guitar is another great example. So there are times where acoustic is really loud in my ears. I tend to turn that down just a little bit less than the electric guitars. Depends on how it sounds in your ears. Both of my different sets of in-ears sound different because of the different amount of drivers. So I'm constantly adjusting stuff. But nonetheless, we have 2 channels for Adam's electric guitar. We have 2 channels for Paul's, and then we have one for acoustic. So I just set that accordingly for the 2 channels for Adam, and typically for Paul. I don't know why it's like that. Makes sense why it sounded the way it did on Sunday, which wasn't bad. Just was kind of mono-ish sounding in my ears. I have those panned right and left. I don't know which one specifically right and left, which would be helpful, but probably just not enough room on here to indicate. But yeah, I have acoustic pan to the middle. It's all preference. I think there's some people that will pan guitars to the right, some people that pan keys to the left. Again, it's personal preference. I like them all kind of in the center, and I adjust it how I like it. But for that one, again, make sure all your levels within the group are how you like them, and then you can adjust the entire guitar channel on the outside for volume. Bass. Typically, we have 2 bass channels. To be honest, I can't remember why we don't. I think we replaced one of those channels with, I think it was a talkback mic at some point. Nonetheless, I like a lot of bass in my ears too, so I adjust that up. But I showed y'all how to add different channels on here. Front of house is just our mic upstairs. That way he can communicate kind of what's going on up there. If something's cracking or bass battery goes out, whatever. He has in-ears. For me, I'm the MD for the church. Well, one of the 2. I'm the main MD. So he'll hear me say, like, Gary's changing bass, mute bass channel. He'll let us know if there's something going on that we can't hear in our ears, something we need to adjust down here. Nonetheless, it's great for communication. 10 out of 10 recommend that. Yeah, so that's the pretty general setup of the Allen and Heath ME-1, ME-1. The master volumes at the top right, that's going to adjust every single channel that's on this guy. So just be careful when doing that. But one thing that I run into quite often, a lot of our vocalists do, is that whenever the band is really hot, it's difficult to hear me cut through the mix whenever I'm calling like bridge or chorus or whatever. To that, I say you're going to want to go in here. You're going to want to probably shift most of these channels down, turn the volume down to everything, and keep the talk back, or mine is labeled keys talk back, but we have an MD mic for when our guitarist is MD. We have drums talk back. He's never MD, but we still have some lines of communication across the stage. But you're going to want to leave MD, whoever's MD, you want to leave that mic up. turn everything else down, and then adjust the master. You can hear me getting louder as I'm doing that. So that will help boost vocal whenever you can't hear something. But that is kind of how I tell them to navigate that issue, right? Or if there's something specifically hot in your ears, go adjust the volume down. Sadly, sometimes it is ever changing, and so it creates some difficulty. Now, we do have an aux rig set up. It's not every Sunday, it's most Sundays, but we have 2 aux keys channel running stereo. I have both of these panned, again, to the middle. I don't know why I did that. But typically, it's best whenever they are panned left and right. Kind of gives you more of a stereo feel. So this mute button here, you can go in and mute certain channels. I wouldn't suggest doing it live, but if you are, like I've done it one time on a Sunday, whenever we were having some crackling issues, we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I went in, muted some channels. We figured out it was bass. I think there was one time we figured out it was aux keys. Nonetheless, right now I have talkback solo. That's where I'm at. That's how I'm talking to you. Let's see. I think. Okay, why is it doing that? Solo it. Okay, so that's good to know. Whenever you exit something, whenever you solo something, we're all learning something new here. When you solo something and you exit it, I was thinking that it would not solo it anymore, but it looks like it's solo whatever channel that you're clicking. But then it just turns off, I guess, if you go too fast. I don't know. Anyways, I'm learning something with you guys, apparently. That's the general rundown of everything. Trying to think if there's anything else. I would keep that local mic down. What I think is happening a lot of times, if your ears are feeling like really in a tunnel, is because this local mic here is picking up the sound around the room, and that tends to be an issue. Some vocalists prefer to leave that up. Oh my gosh, we have room mics that we have in our ears, so we can kind of get a read of the room, kind of what's going on. Because whenever you're very isolated, when you're running both ears in and they're noise canceling, or they're form fitting to your ears, I have customs, so they're perfect to my ears. I cannot hear anything on the outside of what's going on, so having those room mics are super helpful. But yeah, I don't know if people prefer to run the local mic up. I'm not sure what difference it makes right now. I feel sure it makes a difference whenever music's loud and really hot out in the house. Other than that, I would not recommend soloing anything live. Wouldn't recommend muting anything live. I think that's kind of the general gist of the me. We did the store, we did the recall. I'm just going to run through this one more time. So you go shift and group, which shift activates this secondary menu right here. So really your clicking menu. Key setup. You know what? Let's say, all right. Well, you know what? We already did a replacement. Let's say you want to create a group. Okay, let's go there. So you'll go to source. Now, instead of going here and clicking through everything, it's not going to work because it's just going to select one thing. You're going to want to go to group. Okay, you can name the group. I'd go custom. You can come down here and name it blah, blah, whatever. And when you're done, just click master. That'll back out, but it'll save what you did. Now, members is where you're going to want to be. That's when you go in. You click everything that you want. Let's say I want front of house. I want whatever else is not taken, whatever. You go through, click all of these. Now, the reason that these are not popping up is because they already exist in another part of the channel, most likely within a group. So whenever you're done selecting what you want to select, make sure that it's not on any other channel of the 16 that you have. You can put it in a group, hit master. You see the members, it has 2 members. That means you selected 2 things. And then you just hit master again several times. And there it is, MERP, which is a terrible name for that. Now, let's say you're in this situation. Okay, you have front of house here and you have front of house here. Now, what the problem's going to be is that you can turn it up in one of these groups, but you're still not going to hear front of house until both of them are turned up. That is why I suggest just having it in one place. Now, I don't want this group anymore. So if you don't want a group, go back and unclick everything that you have clicked. Press master. Go sourced. Click unassigned. That just means that there's nothing there. And then you're back to unassigned. You can add whatever you want. Now, what that 7 is, I have no idea. Typically, whenever someone selects a scene from the main board, that's when all of the, like our vocals channel, all of these have names. You can go in and adjust whoever's on whoever. We have a talk 1 and talk 2. That's our speakers. Typically, I like to have those in a different section of my ME, but I'm feeling a little lazy. I don't really want to do that right now. So that, I believe that kind of covers everything. If there's anything I missed, comment, let me know. Of course, I'm sure you're watching this because you need to learn more. But that's kind of the gist of everything. That's all you need to know. I would say if you're not a worship leader. I obviously need to know a little bit more about that. But nonetheless, that is everything. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.